Reading from the UN's website. In the vast political reshaping of the world, more than 80 former colonies comprising some 750 million people have gained independence since the creation of the United Nations. At present, 17 non-self-governing territories across the globe remain to be decolonized, home to nearly 2 million people. Thus, the process of decolonization is not complete. Finishing the job will require a continuing dialogue among the administering powers, the Special Committee on Decolonization, and the peoples of the territories in accordance with the relevant UN resolutions on decolonization. End quote. Of the 17 non-self-governing territories, as the UN calls them, 10 are under British administration. Fragments of our formerly glorious empire, of course. The special committee I mentioned is also known as the Committee of 24, established in the early 60s. Its job is to work towards the implementation of General Assembly Resolution 1514. I'll read you a few declarations contained in the resolution here. 1. The subjection of peoples to alien subjection, domination and exploitation constitutes a denial of fundamental human rights, is contrary to the Charter of the United Nations, and is an impediment to the promotion of world peace and cooperation. 2. All peoples have the right to self-determination. By virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. 3. Inadequacy of political, economic, social, or educational preparedness should never serve as a pretext for delaying independence. And it goes on. Okay, so British Overseas Territory is a relatively new political term replacing the term British Dependent Territory. British Overseas Territories, or BOTs, are not the same as Crown dependencies, such as the Isle of Man, which is not far from where I live here in North Wales. Crown dependencies and BOTs are both distinct from Commonwealth realms, which are the 15 countries which still have the dear old Queen as reigning monarch. And of course, we still have the 50-something nation Commonwealth of Nations, the association of what was once the old empire. Where are these British Overseas Territories? A lot are in the Atlantic or the Caribbean, bit in Antarctica, bit in the Indian Ocean, bit in Cyprus, bit on the Iberian Peninsula, of course, Gibraltar, which has been in the news because of the whole Brexit situation. And we have the Pitcairn Islands in the South Pacific, one of the most remote communities in the world. About 50 people live there. It's actually 4 islands, but only one is inhabited. If Pitcairn sounds vaguely familiar to you, think Mutiny on the Bounty, Fletcher Christian, William Bligh. Apparently many of the modern residents of this island can trace their ancestry back to the original mutineers. I kind of like the debate about whether William Bligh was a bastard or not. Was he actually a misunderstood historical figure? I don't know. Interesting though. Anyway, an overseas territory which we went to war to defend or keep under British rule was the Falkland Islands, a war which greatly boosted Margaret Thatcher's popularity at home, and this defeat for Argentina led to the downfall of the dictatorship there. The Falklands are, of course, still claimed by Argentina, as are other islands in the area currently controlled by the UK. In the UN, in previous years, we've seen widespread support for Argentina's claims of sovereignty over Las Malvinas, the Falklands, as well as South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands. As far as Resolution 1514 goes, UK governments are clearly happy to beat counterclaimants and detractors over the head with the principle of self-determination and respecting the democratic will of the people. Whether we're talking about the dispute with Argentina or the dispute with Spain over Gibraltar, which is likely to heat up now, I suspect, as the Brexit process rolls on over the next couple of years. Yeah, the Falklands issue could have been settled in the 1960s. It speaks to the greed, incompetence and prideful arrogance of the political classes that this is still an issue. I mean, of course, people in the Falklands are going to vote to remain a British overseas territory. They're almost all of British descent. They're not going to vote to join Argentina, are they now? But as we see, a referendum doesn't solve a political and moral argument. It doesn't put it to bed. It doesn't put the territorial dispute to bed. Maybe the powers that be need to start thinking more creatively when it comes to disputes and claims like Gibraltar or Las Malvinas, the Falklands. But unfortunately, some people, many people, actually are still locked in this colonial mentality, which is being thinly masked by a faux admiration for democracy. But then on the other side, you have these people being ideologically driven by anti-British sentiments, people advocating extreme measures. Such people are of little use to grown-up discussions, I suggest. 21st century political solutions are required. New thinking and new international institutions. Let me know what you think about this, folks. I'd be interested to hear what you have to say. Until next time, peace.